Yeah, welcome back here on Prime Morning. It's time for us to get into News Flash this morning. Check out the newspapers, the front page, what they are reporting. And so we'll get into some of the other major issues that have been going on, and we'll get to talk about it. I've got in the studio a team from the NPP and the NDC for us to take a look at those very major issues. But before that, I'm still letting you know that Safari Valley is opened and it's providing some very interesting, nature experience that you want to be a part of. So please do well and make your way there. 250 Ghana cedis, and you are there and you're having a good time. 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. So please do well and take the family along. Have a great time, and trust me, you will not regret it. We have different animals that you can, just watch them, enjoy their presence, nature. Beautiful scenery, and you don't want to miss out on that as well. Now, Big Chef Tertiary taking center stage and is bringing different recipes to different homes. You want to be a part of it at 5 p.m. every Sunday. Please make sure you're also watching. So different technical university schools have decided to come together to make it happen. And over the weekend, it was another moment, not so good moment for the Kumasi Technical University. But of course, they're going to keep their head up, and they will definitely continue to make the difference in that competition. Cues and Lyrics follows after 8:30 p.m. on Sundays. We're getting ready for the grand finale, but we're doing some recapping of some of the beautiful moments that we've had in the competition. You don't want to miss out on that one, so do well to stay tuned every Sunday 8:30 and enjoy the very best of Cues and Lyrics. Now let's talk about our series when it comes to divorce. We started about a week ago. This week we took another attention, and we solved many other issues coming through. And on Monday yesterday, a lot of people actually brought the issues up, and on Thursday we're going to continue from where we left off yesterday. So please do well to stay tuned. And don't forget that if you've got any real life issues you want to share with us, you can send it to us on our social media pages, and our WhatsApp line is very active as well. It's always on your screen. So once you put it over there, we're going to take a look at it. We're trying as much as possible to provide some sort of help, and we're talking about emotional, psychological help, and even if you need a lawyer, our lawyer has been very useful in our divorce series conversation, and you want to also tap into all of that if you're going through any situation like that. Okay, so on Thursday we'll bring you another series. Please do well to tune in and bring your issues as well. Now we're going to get into the major issues, but before that we'll look at the front page of the newspapers. I'm going to start off with Daily Guide. Right after that, I'm going to introduce to you my guests in the studio, and then we'll get into the conversation proper. Now, the Daily Guide this morning says Ghanaian shoots 2 family members in the US, and ex-NDC MP's son jailed in the States, and also NPP pledges fair process in presidential race. AG moves to restrain $300 million Cassius mining arbitration, and it's got Godfred Yeboah captured over there as well. And if you get into the center spread somewhere, you find some other stories. The national interest political hypocrites as the editorial, and the dynamic leadership style of Dr. Bawumia, Ghana's 2024 presidential candidate, is something you want to also read about as well. I'm innocent. Aisha Wang pleads. Ex-NDC MP's son jailed in the US. I read that on the front page, so you can get the details in the center spread. So Chris Safo mute on Yvonne Nelson dinner and stop faking be yourself. Empress Gifty says so. Elton John says goodbye to touring, and Sir Elton John over there saying goodbye to tours. Now, Tardy Port receives biggest bulk ship, and Ghana Gas resolves supply chain challenges and also reclassify Ghana's affordable housing initiatives. Government surpasses T-bill targets. That's also somewhere in the center spread of the Daily Guide this morning. At the back page, Kurt confirms re-election bid, and Chelsea review home shirt without sponsor. Tottenham, just the team now say you get sponsor. Tottenham coach wants Kane to stay, and Homo Marathon pushed to August 4, 70k up for grabs. That's the Daily Guide of this morning. Now the Finder This morning is reporting on other issues. NHIA clears 1 billion Ghana cedis arrears, solving cash flow challenges facing service providers. And Nkrumah Memorial Park opens to the public from today. And so those who were worried about the closure right after the commissioning, it opened, so you can actually go and also, tour around a bit. Yes, let us make some more small money. Now, the Dr. Abdul Hamid calls for revision of Arabic and Islamic educational curricula, and that's on the front page of the Finder. Suspend planned release of all public lands. Occupy Ghana says so. Residents of Lawoshime appeal to bridge to enable students to get to school daily, and at this age in our country, we're preaching bridges for students to actually cross to go to school. Bridge. Come on, bridge. Anyway. Okay, some other stories. This is on the sports. GFA President Kedo Kreku declares intention for re-election. Nathaniel will bring you some more updates on that. Alexander Jiku confirms Fenerbahce move with a farewell message to Strasbourg fans. And that's some sports news as well. Let's get into the business, the graphic business this morning. Graphic business is reporting on some economy issues, and it says banks breach Deposit Act, more DDEP losses expected. Ghana 17.2 billion Ghana cedis yet to be captured, and ECG needs private investment. ACEP actually says so. Now, Fitch warns of rising interest cost on domestic debt and how SMEs must prepare, for intra-African trade. And that's the graphic business this morning. At the back page, it says, with Ghana's youth football, there's a big question mark over there. And Nigeria's economy will not transform without adequate and reliable electricity. That's something you want to read about as well. And page 12 has got that story. Okay, so you can go check it out. Now, that's the graphic business this morning. The Dispatch is here. And on the front page, we've got some stories that I want to share with you. So let me just get that real quick and share that with you as well. So the Daily Dispatch. Okay, the Daily Dispatch over there. And it says that an NPP delegate bombshell, Drew Woso, must refer to Apraku, who contested in 1998, not Alan Kay, who contested in 2007. And it's the Drew situation right now, in 1998 and 2007, maybe more. Anyway, Dampare praised for transformative leadership in the public service, and also the energy ministry is a tough one, like the Galamsey Scorch Boachie Jakon admits. To suit current trends, we must revise Arabic and Islamic educational curricula. Dr. Abdul Hamid Alaji says so. Now, Valley View University honors Ghana's first female chief of staff, Firma Osei Opari. That's on the front page of the Daily Dispatch. Also in the inside page, national security in Upper East region. Page 2 has got a story, you can read about it once you grab a copy of the Daily Dispatch this morning. That'll be pretty much the Hawk is here. I've given my all as VP, Vice President. Baumia says so, and Dr. Apiangene's EC appointment will prioritize skill over politics. That's also captured on the front page of the Hawk newspaper. So that's the front pages of the newspapers. But let's get into the issues proper. Let me introduce my guest in the studio. I have got over here Sam Jerome, who is the Western North Communication Officer, NDC, and the National Communication Team member as well. And Julius Jima, Communication Team member for the NPP, is also here this morning with us here on the show. Gentlemen, good morning, welcome.
Good morning.
I hope all is well.
By the grace of God, everything is fine.
Great. Sam, everything is good?
Managing.
Okay. Let's see how we're able to manage this morning on the issues that we're talking about. Now, the very first issue that I want us to tackle is the issue of the election, which the former Chief Justice has spoken about. Ladyship Georgina Wood has spoken about the elections, and she is actually preaching that the elections should actually be based on development in this country and not the usual propaganda. I don't know what to make of it. Let me begin with you, Sam. What do you make of that? This is the Chief Justice speaking.
KMG, good morning to you again. And also good morning to your lovely and cherished viewers across the globe. The Chief Justice has spoken. I think it is in the right direction. For me, I was finding it a bit difficult just going through to find out that over the years, in respect of the elections that we've had, is there any of the elections that any of the political parties haven't come out with a manifesto? So the moment a political party comes out with a manifesto, then it means that the issues have been put to bear for discussions as to offering the electorate or the masses the opportunity to determine as to which political party to go in for. Let me use the 2020 elections, for example. I think the two main political parties, i.e. the NDC and the MPP, came out with their manifestos, which carries their intent for which they have for the country if given the opportunity and all that. And with respect to the NDC, we had a lot of programs in there that we offered to the good people of Ghana that should we be voted to power, this is what we are going to roll out for the people of the country or for the people of Ghana. So I think that with all the elections that we have had over the years, as I indicated earlier on, I am finding it quite difficult to comprehend as to whether we didn't come out with a manifesto or not. Of course, with the issue of propaganda aspect of it, you have elements in both political parties coming in and all that. I think we are politicians and we must accept that sometimes there are stuff that you may put out there which probably you don't have. It's either we don't have the financial wherewithal to carry it, or we don't have proper measures to carry it. Let me use the MPP, for example, because they are in government. For instance, if a government promises one district, one factory, or planting for food and jobs, I think that the intent and purpose for rolling out that particular policy is to create jobs, to make sure that food prices come down, and also to do away with the issues of food shortage. Now, when you use this particular policy as a case study, would you say that what is happening in reality do reflect the real intention behind that particular policy? You and I would agree or attest to the fact that that really isn't the case. So you will say that, oh, okay, maybe they didn't have a thorough plan to execute that particular project or policy for which they have decided to do it, decided to roll out. And I may think that that may be part of what the former Chief Justice is alluding to. But aside from that, I think that over the years, all the political parties, most especially the NDC and the MPP, they've done well by offering Ghanaians their manifestos for them to peruse or for them to go through. But another difficulty also is that most Ghanaians do not go through these policies or manifestos to actually know which political party to go in for. So a political party will have about 200, 150 or 100-page document which serves as a guide to the electorate in terms of going to the polls.
Who to vote for and all that.
Of course. But you have a lot of people not going through at all. So the few people who get opportunity to go through make a very good decision for themselves. But as to whether their decision is going to be a reflective is also another problem.
Is that the reason why it now extends into propaganda? Because then at the end of the day, the political party feels like the people do not really read the manifestos we're giving them. So if that's the case, let's resort to propaganda. Let's just say anything that we feel that would pass, would make them want to vote for us.
You see, sometimes I may agree with you to some extent, even though not in entirety anyway. But if the people, for the document, it will be put out there. But because a lot of people are not taking the pain to go through, to make an informed decision or choice for themselves, then I think that anything goes. So what will sound rhythmic in the ears of the people is what probably they go with. So you will have a political party just come out with a slogan, and whether the slogan or what they intend to do is feasible or not, the moment it is rhythmic in your ears, that is what they are going to run with, so that it sticks with you, and you base on that to probably go and do what? And vote. I want to use the NPP because they are in government, and you cannot criticize the NDC over a policy document which they have not implemented, because whichever document we have in the form of a manifesto still remains with us. We've not implemented nothing. But in respect of the NPP, they have implemented some of their policies, and as to whether the policies are doing well or not is subject to criticism. It is subject to Ghanaians to actually talk about it, because our resources, which are now in the form of scarce, is what we are using to fund some of these projects, some of these policies that the NPP had. And I think it is important for us to do that. But I'm calling on Ghanaians that, hey, the 2024 elections, which will be for next year, right? The 2024 elections, it is incumbent on them. For us, we are going to do our part by writing a manifesto, but it is incumbent on Ghanaians to also make sure that they take the pain to go through the various policies, the various programs, or whatever any of the political party what says in the book. We should take the pain to go through, because if you don't, that is where you will have elements within the political cycle coming out with all sort of mantra, with all sort of propaganda, if whatever you want to term it, and it comes back to adversely affect us as Ghanaians, because this probably will stagnate the kind of progress or development that we want to have as a country. So if maybe we do not go through whatever the NPP intend to do, and then we vote in for another political party, or we don't go through what the NDC intends to do, and maybe we thwart the efforts of that political party, it comes back to haunt us as a nation.
Very well.
So I am calling on them that when you put out the manifestos, they should take the pain to read it and make informed decisions. Of course. Anyway, if they don't, it's really going to have effect on us.
So, Julius, are we going to be doing propaganda again? the former Chief Justice thinks that we have to get, to a point that we'll move from that stage, because it won't help.
Good morning once again. Good morning to our cherished viewers and listeners. Special greetings to my people. Of course, once I've gotten the opportunity, I have to greet them. I'm so greeting to our National Communication Director and then his team, and then all the communication team members, and those that are dear to my heart, the grassroots people. Those are the social media callers and texters. I mean, those people on the ground, and they are doing a fantastic job. So I want to extend special greetings to them. KMJ, coming back to the conversation, I do not, see why Jerome is finding difficult to understand or deduce what the Chief Justice said. I mean, we have been in this country, and then as political parties, our focus and our interest is to build and develop the country. Of course, they have been doing the propaganda, and then, previously they used to have a propaganda, secretary, and that is what they have lived with. So when it comes to propaganda, they are number one. We have always lived with making sure that we speak truth to power, making sure that we're able to develop the economy, develop the infrastructure base, and then focus on, things that will bring prosperity to Ghanaians. And that was what the former Chief Justice was addressing. Now, clearly, I want to challenge him that the NDC has not, and when he was speaking, you could tell, they do not have any alternative policy. Now, what he was saying is that it is MPP that is clearly in government, which is true. So they would want to criticize the MPP. It is only about criticism. What are you suggesting to Ghanaians alternatively to make sure that perhaps if MPP is not doing something right, you correct it, but you haven't. Now, government, current government, which is the MPP government, came into power with fantastic policies, and all those policies are things that has one way or the other moved Ghana from where we inherited from from the NDC to our current dispensation. I mean, yes, some of the investment has been in social investment. Some had gone into infrastructure. Some has gone into areas and the various sectors of the economy that the ordinary Ghanaian will benefit. You could talk about when we came into office, we were focusing on making sure that we put the digital drive into, operation. Our digital address system, now you can clearly identify properties, clearly identify individuals, verify people. If you go to the bank and you want to transact, I mean, with the help of your Ghana card, the banks can verify. You put your thumb, your fingers, and then they're able to see you. Now, authentifying people in the country is very, very important for, the development that we want to achieve. Again, one of our flagship that the NDC is scared of is putting over 1.2 million Ghanaian children into school, and that is in regards to the free SHS. I mean, this is the biggest social intervention ever that any country could have. I mean, if you look at our education budget alone, as our population, it is even bigger than that of Nigeria. So anything that the NPP has brought, if you talk about our one district, one factory, these are things that we wanted to solve the challenges of the economy and make sure that we see the infrastructure development that we want to see. Of course, I mean, previous government, that is the NDC, also did some infrastructure development with regards to road and then the T3, that's the terminal, Kotoka International Port, and other infra like the Rich Hospital. That is okay. That is what Ghanaians are expecting. When we came, we have also invested a lot. And anything that we have done, the social interventions, I mean, as we have always championed to make sure that we build a country that our people will benefit. It is just, okay that some 2 years we haven't seen our economy performing with regards to the things that is happening to the economy when we had, the external shocks, coupled with, increasing budget deficit and then debt vulnerabilities. That has really
but the party promised Ghanaians beyond all of these things you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, you see, we have to be fair. These things that came were not, something that we invited to ourselves. Now, we promise, a better alternative, and that's why Ghanaians voted us into power. And that is all what we are delivering, and that is what we are interested in. And we have done that. What I want to say is that when some of their communicators, when they are engaging in conversation, they will say that, oh, this and this and that. Of course, when we look at the indicators, the economic indicators, if you compare first term of Nana Akufo-Addo and, the first term, or even that of former President Joma, in any of the indicators that they've been able to match, as you can talk about inflation, you can talk about the exchange rate, you can talk about the making sure that even addressing import challenges. Now, one of the key things that is affecting our economy is import, and we have talked about some of these things in other areas. So the point is that we have a revolutionary policy to make sure that the things that we can consume or that we can produce, we consume and we import, that is bringing into the country, we are going to focus on making sure that we do that import substitution and then produce them in our country. When we do that, it means that we are bringing in the factories or making sure that we bring in the companies to set up here, and then the rippling effect is that they would create the jobs that we need for our people, and then there will be some form of technology exchange or technical exchange or know-how, because once they come here, we learn from them and then we keep the skills and then the talent in our country. Okay. So everything that we have been doing, is all about making sure that we develop Ghana, we develop our country, we develop our people so that they see the kind of prosperity that we want them to be, and then bring the level of living, the standard of living to a deserving Ghanaian. That's what government is doing at this particular time. So the Chief Justice was just making an emphasis that instead of, the usual propaganda which can be credited to Jerome and his party, we have always been focusing on making sure that we have, a lot of policies that, it will benefit the ordinary Ghanaian. Of course, we might have some implementation challenges, but that does not mean that it defeats the purpose and intent of which we introduce those policies, and that is okay. So we have always been focused on making sure that we have all the developmental, projects, policies, programs to make sure that we move the ordinary Ghanaian from poverty.
Okay. If you just join us here on the show, you can send your messages to us on our social media page. We're streaming live on Facebook, so you can drop your messages over there in real time, and we're going to read them here on the show. It's News Flash, and we're taking a look at some very major issues. Our WhatsApp line is also active as well, so you can also send your messages there, and we're going to take a look at them. Now, the very next issue that I want us to take a look at.
I have issues with what you just said.
No, but you have to be very quick for me, because we've got other issues, about 4 more issues to talk about, so be very brief for me.
You see, I decided to be non-political in respect of, the admonition made by the former Chief Justice, because it is important for us to state that we owe some kind of obligations on us we need to execute or discharge in respect of the administration of this country. That is why I opine that the people or Ghanaians should also take the pain to go through the various manifestos that the political parties put out there. But with the picture Julius is painting, let's use the current state that we find ourselves in as Ghanaians. With all the things that you have posited, which of them have been of benefit to the people of Ghana? KMJ, you can use yourself as an example. I can use myself as an example. You are here talking about one district, one factory, as in accelerating growth in the economy. Now, can you, in all honesty, say that with that particular policy, of what importance has it been to the economy that we find ourselves in? You are talking about the economic indicators in your first term. A government which comes into power 2017 inherits an economy, an inflation rate of 15%. Today, can you tell me the level of inflation that we are faced with? A government which came in, we had an exchange rate of 4.2 Ghana cedis as to $1. Today, can you look to the face of Ghanaians and tell me that 12 cedis is better as compared to 4.2? And do you know the rippling effect on importation, importers, and also in the economy? Because an economy which is largely an import-driven economy, with about 65 to 70% of all the consumables are imported into this country. Do you know what the poor is going through? You have rendered the people further living impoverished lives. People are finding it extremely difficult to feed on a daily basis. Graduates which have completed from the various universities and campuses are finding it very difficult to even finding a job that pays 1,000 Ghana cedis, and they are living on the street of Accra. And here you are painting a picture claiming that NDC is engaged in propaganda. With what we are facing, you are now telling the ordinary Ghanaian who is finding it extremely difficult to feed that the NDC is engaging in propaganda. Have you been given any resources to run the affairs of this country? Why for once the MPP will not admit that indeed we are in hard times? We are going through situations which really is not too good to talk about.
Okay.
Now, let me just
end for me so that we move on.
I am ended. You see, you come in 2017. In 2017, of which you've not even implemented your policies, the economy grew by 8.1%. In 2018, of which you have implemented your policies, the economy declined from 8.1% to 6.5%. And in 2019, it further dropped until COVID came, and then you dumped everything as being the adverse effect of COVID. Even Ukraine, that we are fighting, the economy is doing better than yours. So what is this argument that the NPP goes about espousing for the people of Ghana to just buy it? No, we cannot accept it, because even in our harder times, in 2020 that COVID came, that businesses were affected, that the ordinary Ghanaian was not even going to work. We managed to pay 51 billion as tax revenue to this government. We managed to pay 51 billion as tax revenue. And even in the days of the NDC, there wasn't a year that Ghanaians were even willing to even pay more than 45 billion as tax revenue. So with you, look at the amount of money that you have procured or secured, and the kind of development or investment that you have made. Today, you cannot pay suppliers of buffer stock. People will have to picket, people will have to sleep, mosquito bite and stuff like that. And here you are painting a picture as if all is rosy, as if you people are doing well. That is what the Chief Justice, the former Chief Justice, is telling you people. He's telling people to stay away from. I decided not to sound too political for us to make sure that we have a conversation whereby we will call upon Ghanaians that, look, the time has come for you to interrogate the various documents put out there by the various political parties so that you can make informed decision or choice which will positively affect your life, but not this position that you have taken this morning.
Okay. Let's move on. Gentlemen, let's move on. If not, we're going to be... No, we'll be going back and forth, back and forth.
I mean, giving you some time to... You said a lot.
If we're not careful, we'll not deal with the other issues. I'm sure... I'm sure...
I have to respond to him. You see...
No, Julius,
you've made some false statements that I needed to clarify.
You clarify that. What I'm saying is, there are other conversations, Julius. There are other conversations. There are other conversations that we're about to have. Some of these things will come in, so you can make your points. If not, we'll not go.
You should bear with me that he's spoken longer than I have. But he has
what I'm saying is, there are other topics that some of these things will come in.
He said no. I'll come at him again.
That's what I'm saying. That there are other topics. Some of these things will come in. So when you get an opportunity, you also use and address some of them. So let's move on to the Jachikwe situation. Right. He cites KT Hammond for contempt of court because he's made some comments that he feels that they're a bit, uncalled for. He said that he's guilty, he's going to jail, and all other things that he felt that did not really warrant that space that he got on that platform. What do you make of that?
Who cited KT Hammond? Interesting. I mean, I don't know.
He made very, very serious, cases on the television station.
It's two sides, it's two positions. You look at the legal position and then the political position. Now, if we clearly go through the legal position, of course, he used to be blamed for what he is currently going through.
As in Jachikwe?
Yes, as in Jachikwe, the perjury thing that has been, cited against him, and he's been tried. I'm sure today they are going to court to hear the criminal case against him. Now, if you had read the judgment in the civil procedure where the by-elections arose, you clearly see that it's all about timing. Now, the period with which the EC opened the nomination for him to file, for every candidate to file, against the time that he actually had his renunciation certificate, clearly do not qualify him to be a member of parliament, and that is the trial. Now, his own lawyers, his defense lawyers, admitted the fact in the judgment by the Supreme Court that, the period which the EC opened for him to file, he had not gotten his renunciation certificate. That is why the EC eventually gave those relief to the people who took the case to court. Now, we have our constitution here, and if you go to the second schedule of our constitution, perjury is, making a false statement. So if clearly legality, you do not qualify as, contesting the elections, now you were being sworn under oath. And, as a country, we have to take some of these things, carefully. If you look at our second schedule, there are various forms of oath that we swear allegiance to. If you are being, you are taking any position, you have to carry on this. Some of them are the presidential oath, the oath of allegiance, the parliamentary oath, cabinet oath. And then now, since you lied, Jachikwe lied, you went to parliament and then you took the parliamentary oath that Jachikwe, so having been elected as member of parliament, do in the name of Almighty God swear, solemnly affirm that I will bear true faith and allegiance. You are not bearing the true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana. Now, this is the legal position of the whole case.
So KT Hammond is justified by saying that he's guilty, he's going to jail when the case is in court.
No, I'm not saying KT is justified, but these are legal commentaries.
But that's the reason he's citing him for contempt.
Yes, exactly. That's okay. But when certain people made certain statements about the whole case, people were not saying that they've been cited for contempt. We have certain personalities that I do not want to mention their names, that they were on NDC's platform making comments that even the Attorney General came out to say that these are contempt. And these are commentaries and, statements that perhaps will alter the decision-making process in this whole trial.
But from a public service person like Katie Hammond,
yes.
I mean, obviously, this is a case that is in court. So if a case is in court and you're already saying on a television station that the person is guilty,
yes,
is that not contempt of court?
Katie,
and from someone like Katie Hammond,
yeah, fine, that is okay. Maybe. I mean, Katie is just an ordinary Ghanaian. Aside being a member
he's
of
he's a trade minister.
Fine, that's what I'm saying.
He's not an ordinary person. He's a public servant.
He's a public servant are ordinary people.
How do you become an ordinary people when you are in service?
If Katie, made those statements, and then an ordinary Ghanaian who do not hold any public office.
There are two different things here.
Well, fine. I'm not justifying what Katie said, but everybody is entitled to their own opinion and the way we see some of these things. So pronouncing somebody guilty when the case is still in court for trial? No, it's an own opinion.
I
mean, perhaps he's a lawyer, so he knows. Perhaps that's what I'm saying. The legal position. After the legal position is clear. Now we have the political position where I try to find myself. Now, all what we can do in this case is to plead with the Attorney General. All this coercion forces that is coming in and then attacks that is going to the Attorney General by force, you have to file a nollie prosecution. These things are unwarranted. Let us leave the Attorney General to do his work. It's all about legality, like I said. And we all have an oath. We all have a constitution that we bear that oath to, that we would want to bear through faith. And swear under oath. So if you're under oath, you cannot just put any statement out there. Just as you are saying that Katie is a minister and an MP, he should or probably ought not to have said what he said. But an MP in the capacity of Judge Kwesi, look at what you did. You went and lied under oath, and your lawyers have accepted or admitted the fact. So all what we are saying now, when it comes to the legal position, Ghanaians, we've seen, the majority of Ghanaians trying to plead. And that is all what we can do to the Attorney General. It's pleading. You plead. He has an interest in the case. Mind you, he is also a Minister of Justice, and he has to do the bidding of government. So we have to know that thin line. As I represent the entire Ghanaians, he is also the Minister of Justice. All what we can do in the legal side is to plead with the Attorney General, and perhaps with his advice team and with other counsels that they will now go and then discontinue the case. That is the interest of the Attorney General. Let's leave him to do his work. All the attacks that is going to him is really unwarranted. But in the political position, of course, we are currently looking at restoring the economy, making sure that we stabilize the economy. And mind you, we've also gone to the IMF. Our interest is the economy. So, yes, we went for the by-elections. The NDC won. Judge Kwesi, won again. Congratulations to the NDC and then, Judge Kwesi. We give them that. But, you see, we should look at our chances in 2024. We should look at, there's just, elections around the corner. Yeah. And then probably in the political way, we can view it that, look, let us, move from that and let us focus on building the economy. Let us focus on using this 1.5 years that is ahead of us to do something for Ghanaians to believe and to make sure that whatever, programs and projects that we were doing that made Ghanaians voted as for in 2020 and then in 2016, we begin to focus that. And then currently our objective is to break the 8. Now,
in wrapping up for me.
Yes, in wrapping up, most of the challenges that has come as a result of people trying to look at all these matter about. For him now, he's making some statement that people are has been cited for contempt and all that. We don't want him to be engaging in those conversations. I'm not justifying what Katie said, but some of these things, the commentaries will come, and you see the lawyers trying to. On the balance of probabilities, trying to weigh or talk about the possible outcomes of or what probably the judges, which we know in law is contempt, and we do not support that. So we are, in as much as we want to focus on the economy, let us leave our Attorney General to do his work. All what we can do is to plead for the Attorney General to discontinue the case, but not to force or probably coerce him or induce him with, the various, comments and the various attacks. You could see that the minority went to, now they've decided not to even go to Parliament and sit. We have always been doing government business without Judge Kwesi or even with the numbers that we had. So clearly, we could move away from that. But what the minority is doing, we go to Parliament, they will not come, they stage a walkout and all that. It is not in the interest of, entire Ghanaians, and that is what we want to move away from that. Okay. So the cases per Judge Kwesi has the legal side and then the political side. The political side, we are trying to look at our chances and how we can even capitalize on what happened in Asino to make sure that whatever things that we're not doing right as a result, we at Asino can be a case study, a test for us to come back to the drawing table and then rethink and reshape some of our ideas and our policies that we can offer to Ghanaians and make sure that we restore. Currently, I'm glad that even yesterday, the finance minister has been able to make payment to, the domestic debt exchange, holders. And that is what we want to be hearing. General. So that is about that.
Okay,
Julius read the oath that parliamentarians take. And you see, let me establish this, that as at the time Kwesi took that oath, Kwesi owed no allegiance to any other country than Ghana.
So the decision that the Supreme Court brought, are you challenging that decision?
Please, wait. Of course, it can be criticized.
No, you criticizing does not mean you are challenging. You can only comply.
Julius, I kept quiet.
No, but you have to state facts.
Julius, let him finish. Let him finish.
Quiet. I mean, all of us here have some level of education. And we know that before somebody takes that oath, the person should be a validly elected member of parliament. And I'm telling you here in the face that before Honorable Kwesi took that oath, he owed no allegiance to any other country than Ghana, as posited in Article 94(2) of the Constitution. That fact should be established because as at the time, even prior to his election as the member of parliament, his renunciation certificate had come. Is that not the case?
It is not. It is not.
Please. Hey, so you are looking in the views of Ghanaians. His renunciation certificate.
There is a ruling, a certified true copy of the Supreme Court. And you are sitting here saying that it is not the case.
We will come there.
We will not come there. Speak to the fact.
I will speak to this judgment. Don't worry about that.
I'm worried.
As at November 27, the renunciation certificate of Honorable Kwesi had come. Even before December 7th, that we went for the polls. So he receiving the renunciation certificate was a clear testament of the fact that he owes no allegiance to any other country than Ghana. Now, for me, this whole issue makes me a bit sick. And let me tell you why. What is the issue of contention here? The Supreme Court admits that election is a process. Even during the stage of filing, it's a process. Do you understand? It's even a process. Now, why don't you agree to the fact that filing for a renunciation is also a process? And here, every evidence was adduced to the fact that Kwesi had actually renounced his citizenship with Canada. What was left with Kwesi to complete the whole process was the issuance of his renunciation certificate. That too was not contested by any party in court. What was left in this whole process was
what was left, it means that you have nullified all your statements.
Julius,
the process is not complete.
Let him finish.
Wait. It was left with the issuance of the certificate. Even the Canadian government was not disputing the fact that they have acknowledged receipt of what Kwesi had done and subsequently have gone ahead to do the needful. But due to challenges, administrative challenges, which was being faced as a result of this COVID that you people have been using as an excuse. When it comes to the case of Kwesi, you don't use the COVID issue.
But that's what he's using. That's what you guys are using. That is because of COVID. That's why he couldn't get the renunciation certificate.
But that was the case. That was the case for the delay.
You heard what I said? I said that actually is the fact and the case. But here is the case that the NPP do not want to share in that proposition of the NDC, that stance of the NDC. But in another leg, they come to use COVID as a justifiable excuse that has led to us having difficulties or challenges in our economy.
How do you relate that to that of Jackie case?
Julius.
No,
Julius, allow him to finish.
Please, you can just write whatever you want to put across. You can just
go ahead.
What I'm saying is that everybody attests to the fact that what was left was the issuance of just the certificate.
But did he inform the EC at the point that, okay, I've done ABCD, but what is left is the issuance?
The EC went through all the documentation. The EC called him. I mean,
because people are also calling for the head of the EC. Anyway.
No, you see, a committee was set up. A petition was sent to the EC from some group in Senate. A petition was sent to the EC to investigate or to lodge the complaint that this is the situation of what? The situation of Kwesi. A committee was set up. Kwesi was invited, and every document he had was presented to the Electoral Commission for them to study before they cleared him that, oh, okay, upon going through all these documents of yours, we are satisfied that indeed you can go through what? You can go through the election. And even, you see, we have given the interpretation aspect of our constitution to the Supreme Court per Article 2 of our constitution. Nobody is contesting that. But at least in law, we have that reasonability logic that the common person or the reasonable person walking on the street, what would he make out of a decision which has been arrived at by either a lawyer or a court? Now, in this case, when you read Article 94(2), what is the article saying? That before somebody becomes a member of parliament, and logically, by the time even Kwesi was elected, he was just a mere citizen, a candidate. Do you know the reason why the constitution did not say that a candidate but a member of parliament? Because the person will be paid out of the scarce resources of the country. The person will be discharging duties on behalf of the republic. But for some reasons, the Supreme Court of the land, the apex court of the land, has given its own interpretation that this is what the constitution means when we are talking about somebody being eligible to contest.
You'll be cited for contempt.
For criticizing a decision which has been already been made by the court.
Supreme Court have brought their ruling, and you are now even doing deductions out of what you have said.
Jerome, are you done?
No, I'm not done. So
no, just then wrap up for me because our time.
You have to have respect for rule of law. Jerome, what you are saying, you have to have respect. If you believe in our constitution, you should respect the Supreme Court and the judiciary as an independent body. We must respect their decisions.
Julius,
you don't say that.
Do you know what it takes to be a justice at the Supreme Court?
And you guys don't want to respect their decisions.
Do you understand? But that does not bar me from sharing my views on a matter which already a determination has been made. I am barred from making any substantial criticism in respect of a matter before court as compared to what Honorable Katie Hammond has done.
So you sitting there, you disagree with the decision?
Of course, I can disagree with the decision of the Supreme Court.
Have you done your own check?
What is wrong with that?
Have you done your own check?
Please,
your own investigation?
You see, a member of parliament who you have been elected, you are a lawyer for so many years at the bar, and you are making a very definite statement or comment that Jackie Kwesi is what? Is what?
He said he's guilty.
Jackie Kwesi is guilty.
He will go to jail.
And as such, he will go to jail. I never knew that the law and decisions by the court is in the pocket of what? Honorable Katie Hammond. So when the Honorable Chikata states in court that indeed, looking at what is going on in respect of the case of Kwesi, it can be compared to what he went through in 2003. He has been vindicated because certain processes which ought to be followed were not followed. And that is why some of us in the NDC, and even some lawyers who are not in the NDC, sees this not as what prosecution, but persecution. And in any case, per Article 88.5, we know that every criminal proceedings is to be done by what? By the Attorney General. Nobody is begrudging him on that. But every criminal suit is at the instance of what? The Republic. That is why in any case involving what? Criminality, you will see the Republic versus this, Republic versus that, or in the case of an appeal, you find a person against the Republic. The Republic, we the citizens are saying that this particular issue which you are pursuing is of no interest to us because it will not serve any good. It will not help solve the many problems and difficulties that we are being faced with as Ghanaians. And indeed, whichever decision that you are expecting from the court, of what deterrent will it serve? Of what benefit is this going to serve anybody? So we are appealing to your conscience that you need to discontinue this particular case by just filing a case of
he thinks that you are coercing the Attorney General
anybody. In the case of Aisha 1,
the case.
In the case of Aisha 1, when she was first arrested, the president himself stated that he directed the Attorney General to discontinue the case because the prosecution of that case, it is not going to serve and it is not in the interest of what? Of the Republic. Somebody who was causing a distraction to our water bodies, to our land. The president can say that I directed the Attorney General to discontinue that particular case. And this was re-echoed by the position of Honorable Ya Osafo-Mafo. So in this particular instance, the people of Asin North have the right to be represented. You did the same thing to the people of SAR for a whole 4 years. These people are there without a representation. And you also want to deny the people of Asin North. You have done that for almost close to 2 years. When Honorable Kwesi was elected, this whole case started, and he was what? A decision was made by the High Court and subsequently by the Supreme Court through the interpretation aspect and also confirming what the High Court did. As at this time, even the common fund which is to be released for development for the people of Asin North was halted, whilst even a clear determination had not been made. What is it?
Okay.
Gentlemen, our time is up. Our time is up. Please, we are only just appealing and saying that just discontinue the case because the Republic says we are not interested in this case. What is the problem about that?
All right, Julius, anything you want to say quickly before we go out?
Yes, I think that I want to refer Jerome to the decision of the Supreme Court so that if they are pleading, they will plead well. But they don't come say they are appealing, and you see how emotional he has become. Now, according to the statement by the first defendant, which is in this case Honorable Jachi Kwesi, says the record shows that the first defendant does not dispute that he held a Canadian citizenship in addition to Ghanaian citizenship prior to the time he filed his nomination as a parliamentary candidate with the second defendant for the 2020 general elections, in this case the EC. His position articulated by counsel for first defendant in his submission is that he commenced his renunciation process of his Canadian citizenship in 2019, although he secured his renunciation certificate in November 2020. After he had filed his nomination forms, he received the renunciation certificate before the 7th December 2020 election. So for you
so are you not affirming what I said?
Oh, listen to me.
I should listen to you. Were you able to? Were you willing to listen to me?
So you see how emotional you were.
I wasn't emotional. You are just corroborating whatever that I said.
I'm not saying. You see, you've not even listened to me. Listen to me to conclude my statement. The whole thing is about timing. The whole thing is about timing, with which the Supreme Court have re-emphasized that look, you can, begin or initiate a process, but the ultimate thing is that it is your renunciation certificate. KMJ,
Mm.
if you see,
No, go ahead.
See, I kept quiet for you to conclude.
Really?
If you don't,
you laugh now.
I kept quiet.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Julius.
I am being a gentleman by just allowing you.
Jerome, allow him. Our time is up, so if you guys don't, we'll not be able to finish this.
So that if I'll teach you how to plead instead of that emotional.
Okay, so go to that teaching and then we'll wrap up.
The point is that you see, it's all about timing. Now, whether or not Judge Kwesi began his process and what have you, his own lawyers have admitted. So the Supreme Court have said that, look, we have had a case in Zenator, that is the ex parte and Zenator case, where it was all about timing. So when you want to complete your whole process, if you have not gotten your renunciation certificate, you cannot say that you do not owe allegiance to Canada, and that settles the matter. So in that tangent, that is why he's been also cited for perjury, that he's lying, and that is the case. Now, he said whatever he's saying and all that. We cannot force or coerce the Attorney General to do his work. And then the position that the minority are taking in Parliament, they will stage a walkout and all that. It is not in the good interest of Ghanaians. Like I was explaining earlier, there's a legal side and then there's a political side.
Okay.
Of course, as a country, all what we can do is to plead and not appeal. You plead that the Attorney General will show mercy.
Okay.
And then will discontinue the case in the collective good of our country. Politically, some of our people are also talking about it and all that. Me, I'm a finance person. I'm interested in the economy. And I'm interested in the recovery and then the stability of our economy. And that is what we want to present to Ghanaians.
Okay.
So let us leave the matter and then make sure we allow state institutions to do their work. It is not about this, it is not about that. The Attorney General is also a human being just as we are. And I believe he reasons and listens to all Ghanaians and all the pleadings that is coming. And he will take a beautiful, decision in this matter.
So Julius Jima is the communication team member for the NPP, and Sam Jerome is Western North Communication Officer for the NDC.
He says that the Attorney General listens to. I think he listens to some Ghanaians because
that would be our conversation for this morning here on Newsflash.